Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cat Williams, and you are listening to 3-Point Conversion Radio.
Thanks, Trev. Good morning, Mitch. Good to see you again. Let's just cut to the chase. Who are you taking at 11?
What makes you think we're still going to have 11?
Well played. With the way that the workouts have gone, how pleased have you been with the guys that you've seen so far, and has that really helped you in narrowing down options for yourselves at 11?
Well, it's really helped. This year clearly is different than years past, right? We weren't allowed to scout, any college or international games in person. All the scouting was done, via video. So being able to get guys in, beginning with Chicago pre-draft, and then there was a camp in Minnesota. And then, of course, the last, 3 or 4 weeks, we've been bringing in probably close to 80 players into Charlotte, for individual workouts. In years past, you got to be careful that, bringing them in doesn't overly sway the way you look at a player and disregard what you watched, for the prior year or 2 or 3. So this year is different. I mean, we're finally getting up close to a player. You can stand next to the player. You get a great feel for their athleticism, their skill level. So it's been good. It's helped quite a bit, certainly better, than what we had to kind of go through last year. Although last year we did get to scout in person through February, but we didn't get the individual workouts. We didn't get the pro days. We didn't get Chicago. So the last, year, and then this year in the draft process, you got to roll with the punches, right? It's been challenging, but it's not just us. It's every team in the league. And just getting kids in, scouting in person in Chicago, it's been a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
Let's go to Sam Perley.
Hey, Mitch, I know you guys obviously mentioned you brought in a lot of guys this year. Is there any common thread between the prospects you're looking at, what you're specifically looking to address in terms of on the court, off the court? I know it's kind of sometimes best player available there at that spot, but I guess what are some of the things you're looking to identify most bringing in these guys in the workout to help the team both on and off the court?
Well, I'll be consistent and just say talent. Okay, we're still at that level, where we've got to add talent to this team. We played pretty well last year. In fact, I think we got to 4th place, for a week or 2 or 3. I'm not exactly sure how long, but we had a couple of injuries. Gordon went down, Melo went down, and, we plummeted, our performance. And to me, that's just because, if we're healthy, we're a pretty good team, but we're not deep enough, to be able to sustain an injury or 2. And in this league, you have to assume you're going to have an injury or 2. So we've just got to add, talent, to this team. At 11, quite frankly, you're probably going to end up with somebody who's 18 or 19. There is a player or 2, that are 4-year guys that would be considered at 11. But most of the time at 11, you're going to get somebody very young. So that player, we'd like, if it is a young player, to be a talented player with great character that would fit into, what we're trying to build here in Charlotte.
Thank you.
Let's go to Rod Boone and then Phil Orban.
Hey, Mitch, you mentioned trying to just add, I guess, talent and young talent. With this draft being the way it is constructed with the, I guess, is it deeper than people expect? Do you think you'll find a player at 11 this year who'll be able to help you the way PJ and Miles have done the previous couple of years on that same kind of position?
Yeah, we think so. I've got great confidence, in Larry Jordan, who oversees the scouting, and our scouts. They've done a great job in the last 3 years. It's not, easy. It's not scientific. I wish it was, something where you can just sit down and figure it out. That's not always the case. There's a lot of moving parts. But yeah, we think we'll get somebody, who's good at 11. Like I said, most likely that player will be another young player, but we don't know that for sure.
And then this is the first, obviously, big step of the offseason for you guys. Can you just, I guess, discuss a little bit just how important it is for you guys to kind of keep the ball rolling in the right direction the way you guys are doing right now? You mentioned you guys were 4th or 5th until injuries happen. How important is it for you guys to kind of keep it going in the right direction as you kind of see you can maybe be on that level if you just make a couple of moves in the offseason here?
Well, I think naturally the bar has been risen. I think expectations are probably more this year coming up than they were last year. So just in that regard, it's important, right? People expect more. We expect more. I think our coaches, our players expect more. So yes, we've got to keep it going. We've got a lot of flexibility with our cap, and we've got 3 picks, although 2 of the picks are in the late 50s. Moving forward and continuing to improve will be, and hopefully, quite frankly, to contend for a playoff spot this year. I can't say I've said that in the last year, but based on how we played last year, I would hope that we do continue to improve and we're in the hunt.
Hey, Mitch, you mentioned the challenges of a year ago. I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind taking me back to that time in your evaluation of LaMelo. What were you able to see from him in that limited scope that made you so confident he was the guy you thought he would be?
Well, our international scout, Jakob, went to see him twice in Australia. And, I went one time back in November a year ago. We saw a couple of practices, we saw a couple of games. It's a great league over there, the NBL. They're all men, they're all 27, 28, 30, 32. It's not like it's a league where it's all just young kids. It's a very physical, a very aggressive. They play for real, and what we saw, he played well, not only in practice, in the games, he performed. It's not the NBA. The intel that our guys did, all the film work, that our scouts did, Larry leading the way. We gathered as much as we could. We did see some, special qualities, about him on the court, a flair, right, to be entertaining, the ability to pass the ball, being unselfish. I think there was a question about shooting the ball a little bit. Can he make a 3? And prior to the draft, I think it was a week before the draft, myself and Coach and Buzz flew out to Los Angeles for a private workout. And a lot of it, if not almost all of it, was, watching him shoot the ball from 3. And we weren't so much concerned about him putting the ball down and being able to create a shot for himself. But the big question was, can he make open 3s? Right? If you can't make an open 3 in this league and you're a ball handler, then you're going to have a problem. And we walked away not only feeling good about his personality and his love for the game, but we felt very comfortable, that he'd be able to make a 3 in our league. So, a lot goes into it. We would have been better, right, if you played a year in college ball and we get to scout in him 10 times, 15 times in person. But that wasn't the case. We did the best we could with what we had available to us. And, keeping my fingers crossed that maybe we got lucky.
Thanks, Mitch.
Let's go to Steve Reed and then Jonathan Alexander.
Hey, Mitch, Steve Reed from the Associated Press. I was going to ask you about the center position. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about that and how you guys are going to address that. I wonder if you could discuss your center position, what you feel like you can do to upgrade that, and just anything general about the center position. What do you feel like needs to be done there?
Yeah, I can't go into great detail because there's just not much more to share than what I shared a couple of months ago. I think in the season-ending press conference, yes, we have a void right now at the center position. The two centers that we had on the team, Cody Zeller and Bismack, they're both free agents. We don't know what the future holds, for them. Do they want to come back here? I think they do. And then there's a marketplace that has to be considered. So if you just look at a depth chart, it's clear to see that, hey, there should be a big X there at the center position. There's a need there. Having said that, PJ Washington did play some center last year. There aren't, too many centers, in the draft. We're not going to hunt a center. Like I said, we're going to try to, get the best available talent at that position. We'll have those answers going into free agency. I hope to get more information on our two free agents very soon in terms of, when we're allowed to speak to them. And then we'll look at the market and we'll see what's out there other than what's on our team and maybe other than what we drafted, and we'll figure it out. And we'll do the best we can.
Let's go to Jonathan.
Hey, Mitch, Jonathan Alexander with the Charlotte Observer. Hope you're doing well. I just want to ask a follow-up question. And one of the things you said in taking the best available player, is there still a position that, like, say there are two players who are very close, and is there a position that, say you think one player is better, but he plays a position that you might not draft?
No, I understood your question correctly. I'm not sure I can answer it the way it was, presented.
Mm-hmm.
We will take, excuse me, NBA team calling in, possible trade opportunity. We are going to look to take the best available talent. Okay. If there are two players that, are definitely equal in talent and, skill level and so forth and so on, then maybe we would lean to a big, right? Because like I mentioned, that is an area that there's more uncertainty. But, we have two other free agents as well, right? Devonte Graham and Malik Monk. And, we're a little short in the backcourt, and you could always use another wing also. So we would probably still continue to lean towards the best talent available. But at some point, if it's real close, that there'll be some discussions based on need.
Also, how do you feel about trying to re-sign Devonte Graham and Malik Monk, and how are you approaching that this?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not allowed to comment, on any facet of free agency. So, I can't really go further than that. And that's about it. I mean, they've both earned the rights to be free agents, and, they're going to be a free agent shortly. So we'll contact the representatives and we'll go from there.
Can I ask, having, you mentioned having cap flexibility, having that, how does that help you in free agency? And what do you hope to do with that? If you can answer that.
Yeah, well, what I meant when I said that is we will have cap room. How much cap room, it remains to be determined, right? There's a cap hold. I don't want to get too far into the weeds with, the salary cap, but there's a cap hold for the pick. There's a cap hold, for Devonte, there's a cap hold for Malik, there's a cap hold for Bismack, there's a cap hold. So, if those cap holds, are not removed or lessened, because some of them are extraordinarily high just based on the rules, then there'll be no flexibility for us. But, if we want, we could have up to 20 million plus, in cap room, to go out and pursue free agents.
Let's go to Scott Fowler and then Rob Longo.
Good morning, Mitch. Speaking of the Ball family, there have been reports about you having LiAngelo play for your summer league team. What can you say about that, and what are the positives in such a move?
Well, he's been in our gym working out with LaMelo, and before I start to answer the question completely, I've got to say that our gym has been just full of activity for the last 6 to 8 weeks. Our coach has done a great job setting up times for players to come in, starting with treatment training room, migrating to the weight room, then going upstairs and getting shots in. Tuesdays and Thursdays, they have fun, they scrimmage. So unlike any gym that I've been around in a long, long time, the players like living in Charlotte, they're staying here and they're coming in every day to work out. Even on a Friday, which we call a flex day, which a player might want to get away for a weekend, a lot of these guys are still coming in on Friday. So to answer the question, LaMelo, and his LiAngelo, right?
Yeah.
I call him Jello, so right, got to get the names right. But he showed up about a month ago with his brother, and they would come by at odd hours. We allow our players to have a workout partner. They can come in in the morning on odd hours, or in the afternoon, or at night, and come back. And they would be working out together. And then on open scrimmage days, he would scrimmage. And, yeah, I guess to answer your question, we are going to present him with an invite. And I can't confirm at Summer League. What we're going to do is have 4 days of practice, I think beginning on the 3rd of August, or maybe the 4th, 4 consecutive days here in Charlotte. And we'll probably bring in, probably 18 to 20 players, and he'll be one of them. And if they play well in those 4 days, then they'll get an invite to go to Vegas with the team. And we hope to be able to just bring 12 guys to Vegas. A lot of times it ends up being more, closer to 14. The more players you bring, then it's harder to play them all. So we do try to keep the number down to 12, but it'll probably go to 14. And that would be the plan with him. And he's been great to be around. I'm sure Melo appreciates it. He's got a guy that he could, hang out with and come to the gym with and rebound and shoot. So it's been good for him. And, he's a Division I player. He is a player that was recruited and played for UCLA. He's a real, talent. Whether he's good enough right now, that remains to be seen. But he's fitting right in on the scrimmages that we play on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And yeah, we'll bring him to that 4-day camp and we'll go from there.
And I'm sorry, I don't know this, but is LaMelo, will he play in the summer league this year, or is he basically past that point?
He will not play. Okay. We are allowed to, and once again, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but we are allowed to bring X number of veterans to Vegas. And we hope to bring almost all of our veteran players to Vegas, some of which can work out, when we work out. Of course, the younger players will play. And even the older players, even though they might not work out in terms of practicing with the summer league team, they'll get workouts and they'll be a part of a group that's supporting each other, in Vegas. So, of course, I guess if his brother makes it, right, he would definitely go. But he indicated to us that he was going anyway to be a part of the group.
Thank you.
Let's go to Rob.
Mitch, I was just curious if there was any rhyme or reason to the pre-draft workouts. Like, for example, you guys have brought in 4, 5, 6 players at a time. And then there's a guy like Kai Jones who was the only one for 1 day of a workout. I was just wondering if that was something that you guys wanted to see individually to take a closer look at guys, or if it was just based on the prospects' availability of when they could get in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to get all the players in. We're limited to 3-on-3 workouts. Okay, which, and we don't play it, right? We play 5-on-5. So you'd love to have 5-on-5. Second best would be 4-on-4, but the rules only allow us to play 3-on-3. The representatives, the agents, to a great degree, they control, what takes place regarding the draft. Some representatives won't send us a physical of any player that they represent. Some will give you a physical, but they won't let you work the player out. And some say, well, we'll give you a physical and you can work them out, but it has to be 1-on-0, right? It can't be 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. So, something is better than nothing. And, a lot of the workouts, it's very competitive amongst the representatives. A lot of the players that are in the draft get advice from various sources. So sometimes, what actually we have to deal with doesn't make much sense to me. But a lot of the workouts are 1-on-0. And then we try to get 3-on-3 as much as possible. But we basically take what we can get.
Thank you.
Let's go to Nick Carboni. All right, I think, Nick, are you good? If so, let's wrap up with Richie.
I'm sorry. Haven't done this in a while, apparently. Mitch, the way you guys have constructed the roster the last 3 or 4 years here, how do you feel about how it currently sits, before you make the selection or do whatever you're going to do Thursday night and before free agency, as you try to build this into, as you said, a hopeful playoff team?
Well, my first year here, we had a veteran team, led by Kemba Walker. And I guess you could say it took me a year to figure out that we weren't going to be good enough to contend and get better and better every year. So we went through a natural, process of, I don't want to phrase it as, starting over, but to some degree, it was a transformation, from a veteran team to, a rebuilding team as quickly as possible. And we've completed the second year of that. Once again, our scouts just bringing in the young talent, the Devontes and the Martin brothers, Miles and PJ, McDaniels, the tough picks, right? When you're drafting very high in the draft, you might not say it's a tough pick, but when you're drafting picks in the second round and you can get players, then you got to give credit to somebody, right? And our scouts have done a great job. The one thing we didn't expect last summer was Gordon Hayward being available to us, right? Signing him was, just a big boon for us to get a veteran, of that stature, in this organization. And I think that's sped up, expectations and our timeline a little bit. I think along with, the progress that Miles, especially the end of the season, when he started for the last 20 games or so, he just made a gigantic leap. And then Melo, right? He didn't start the season as a starter. He came off the bench, and then Devonte went down, and then he stepped in and, took advantage, of the opportunity. So I think those factors, pushed us along a little bit quicker than I thought we'd be at this time. Still have a lot of work to do. And, once again, we're just not deep enough, to count on guys, being healthy. And at the end of the season, getting us into the playoffs. We still need to add talent and get better.
Our guys will wrap up there. Thank you for your time, Mitch, and we'll see you after the draft.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.